And we have here the women's coach hockey scores for Tuesday, January 2026. So we had 4 games today. We had 2 in the Beanpot tournament. The Beanpot tournament was last week on Tuesday, the 13th. That was when the first round semifinals of the Beanpot were. And then in the NCAA, they have a third in the tournaments. If there's 4 teams and it's a tournament, they have a third place game and a championship game. And they're both played at home of the Boston Bruins and Boston Celtics. T-Garden is a shared arena between the Boston Bruins and Boston Celtics. Some of the hockey arenas they do share with other stuff, sports, and there's some sports arenas that use for other stuff like concerts. That might be used for concerts, like multi-purpose event center for concerts. Some of the basketball teams that are used for concerts. You have some, or WNBA teams, you have some that are used for the hockey teams, like the Prudential Center, like where the New Jersey Devils that's used for senior basketball and the basketball teams, college. In this one, Northeastern, number 8 Northeastern, the third place game against Boston College in the Beanpot tournament. That was a neutral site. It was really pretty close to Boston College West University. Short drive, for them. And number 8 Northeastern won the third place game, 3-2. Number 11, it was at 4-3. Number 11 Clarkson beat St. Lawrence 5-0. Michelle, this was their 4th matchup this season between the two teams. Clarkson St. Lawrence played twice. They played twice at Clarkson, twice at St. Lawrence. And they're going to count. They're going to count a couple of them. All of them aren't going to count for a conference, play. But this one, they did end up counting as conference game. And Clarkson, St. Lawrence not so much, but Clarkson wins 5-0. Number 4 Penn State dominates number 12 Cornell 5-1. And in overtime, Harvard 2-1 over Boston University. Harvard only had 16 shots on goal in that whole game, while Boston University had 47. And Harvard's goalie had 1 goal given up, 46 saves. For 1 goal and 47 shots, 46 saves, 47 shots on goal. And then at the end, there was a penalty shot given. It was 3-on-3, 5-minute 3-on-3 overtime period, like they do in the NCAA. But in the tournaments, they determine who would move on. If there's in the NCAA rulebook, if it ended at 1-1 after overtime, in the NCAA rulebook, in the NCAA scorebook, it would count as a tie in the overall scorebook, like by the NCAA and NCAA. It would count as a tie, and in the overall team records, it would count as a tie. And if you looked at it, you'd see what the winner of that game the winner of the shootout would win the Beanpot Trophy. And Harvard ended up winning it on a penalty shot after an interference call was wide open. It was a wide open net, and it just was. And it was just a interference trip wide open, and they ended up. And if it was just like the angle, maybe it was at like a side angle or something, maybe they just called it a penalty. But because it was wide open breakaway to the net, it may have been deemed intentional, so they called it a penalty shot and scored and won the game 2-1 Harvard. And they win the 2026 Women's Beanpot Tournament. That's